what are you, 30?
I'm in my 20s. I'm 29. I'm milking it for as much as I got.
You're punching 30 in the mouth.
I'm right there. It's weird.
So I'm sure I felt that, like I'm always fascinated by age and different. And people think I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, I'm not worried about it. I'm just fascinated by it. Because of course, I remember 30, but you can't possibly know 66.
I don't know. You know what?
But you will, and it'll go by like that.
I was literally like 21 yesterday, and then bam, I'm 29. I'm 29 now, but I have a terrible I would have never guessed you were 66. Like I have a horrible age radar. Like I never know how old somebody is. I mean, I know if someone's over 18, but that's as far as it goes, you know. That's as far as it goes.
How do you know that? That's a very hard one to know. Models, they constantly are plucking models from like farm cities in Ukraine, and they're like 14, right? And that's what that's how they used to get models. And they were 18. So
they find them on Instagram now.
If you have a radar, they can tell that you're good.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I look 29?
Well, I just guessed you were 30.
Damn it.
So you're gonna have to live with, what do you got, another 6 months, pal?
It's the beard. Yeah, no, I have, my birthday's in October, so.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. It's not how old you are, it's how old you are, like, against where you are. And you're doing great.
Yeah.
I think you have, what, like 1 trillion TikTok followers or something?
So on TikTok, I have 15.4 million
Now,
followers.
how did you build that up?
Man, so I've been in LA for 5 years. And when I moved out here, I was trying to...
Where are you from?
New York. Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Born and raised, yeah.
Oh, really? What part?
Queens, Flushing, and then like towards high school, my family moved to Long Island. I moved out when I was 18. I went to school in Texas. I went to college in Texas. And then pointless. I mean, I went there I was majoring in sociology. I was playing football all the time. I wanted to like be in the NFL. Turns out I wasn't good enough. And my sister was like, you've always been funny. You should just move to LA and be like a comedian and actor. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I ended up moving out to LA. I was like an assistant at the time. This is 5 years ago. So I'm an assistant. I'm making like $600 a month. I'm like taking the bus and train. I'm an assistant. I'm trying to like get gigs. I'm doing stand-up, but I'm doing like shitty bar gigs. I'm not doing real stand-up. You know, anything.
In the club.
Anywhere I can get on stage, right?
Well, you think you're different than everyone else but we all did that.
You know, it's tough because when you move here, you see people who are already successful, but you don't see what they went through to get there, right? I mean, I'm just a kid when I moved here.
You're the one who's going through what you went through to get there.
Yeah, true. So
it's good for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't go through that. Yeah.
You gotta go through the system, and it toughens you up and makes you funnier. And it's fascinating to me. I mean, the way that technology changes. Obviously, funny is funny. That doesn't change. But where it's going through. I mean, from when I started, when it was like getting on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Yep.
To like. Then I remember Dane Cook. Remember? That was a technological, that was sort of like, wasn't he the first one to...
Sell out the Garden. He sold out the Garden.
But because he used the internet.
Yeah.
Wasn't that...
I don't remember if it was...
I think that's what it was.
It might have been, but I remember watching Dane Cook. I mean, at that point when I was watching him, he was already doing the Garden, so... But
that's what made him unique.
Yeah.
He mastered a new technology. Presidents do this. They say Kennedy was the first TV president. He was good looking. They had the first debate on TV. He looked better than the other sweaty motherfucker. FDR was the first radio president. He was able to, when people had just radios, he was able to talk to them. Lincoln couldn't talk to the people.
Yeah.
You'd have to go fucking see him in person.
Exactly,
and tickets were outrageous.
Yeah. The game is constantly changing. And then you get those people who don't get with the times and then they get left behind,
Well, if you do, I mean,
to a certain degree, right? If you've built a certain stature of fame, right? That'll...
Well, it depends. I mean, HBO is still HBO.
Yeah.
You can't front.
But even HBO they've gone with the culture. They've, they have the HBO
No, and I will
Max
concede
and-
that like people your age, they don't really have TVs anymore.
Yeah.
But they can see your shit anywhere else. Like, that's not my area. It's like where it goes and how you do it. I'm content.
Yeah.
You're kind of like your own network, because that's
Yeah.
what TikTok is.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have a contract with TikTok. You could take a week off and not.
Well, I can't take a week off. I mean, theoretically I could, but I would never take a week off just because of
Ever?
Just how my page is set up. I mean, of course, nothing lasts forever, right? But the way the algorithm works, right? You have to consistently post in order to get, a certain viewership. And then if you take off, 2 weeks, maybe a month, you feel that on your page. You feel the viewership go down, right? And then you have to kind of regenerate that viewership.
You're falling off.
I'm not. I'm posting.
No,
I'm gonna
I'm
post
saying
after this.
that was what they would say.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's so much content where it's like, let's say you put out a video and it does 5 million views, right? 2 hours later, someone else has a 5 million viewed video. And then next day there's...
But you realize, Adam, you just described a very psychologically precarious situation for yourself. Don't you think? I mean, you just said, I can't ever take any time off because if I don't feed this dragon, if I don't feed this beast, it will turn on me.
Yes.
You don't worry about that a little?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I think I'm so like blinders horse, like I just want to continue to just keep elevating to the next level. So
and
on
you,
and so forth.
yeah. I'm, look, at my juncture here, I mean, I've been on TV almost 30 years straight.
Wow.
Like, I don't need to do this. Like, I don't need to
But you enjoy it.
podcast. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
But I love my real job. And my real job is my real job.
Yeah.
This is an hour on a Wednesday, but it's more, it's like fun to do it with you because I never met you, heard all these things about you. And everyone was always so fucking positive. I'm like, I gotta meet this kid.
Yeah, actually,
Because I love to talk to people who are not my age. I learn. That's how I learn.
Yeah,
I know the people my age. They, I basically know what they know.
Yeah.
But you know things I don't know,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking like a vampire suck that out of you.
Let's do it. You know what? When I found out, my manager had called me. She's like, "Hey, Bill Maher wants you on his podcast." I'm like, "Bill Maher?" And she's like, "Yeah, do you not want to do it?" I'm like, "No, I want to do it. I love Bill Maher. This is the
great.
last person I
Yes.
expected to reach out." So I was like, "This is
No,
awesome."
I'm thrilled because like it wouldn't be right for my real job, which again is my real job. But like, we got talking about this because you said I have blinders and on and on, and I'm like, just so you know what's ahead in your life, you can be my age and still have that kind of drive. Because one reason I want to do this is because, yes, the more we go down the path of American history, the less people your age are like interested in the, shall we say, meat and potatoes issues of the day.
Yeah.
It's like my show is for grown-ups who know things. Sorry. But like the kids, they just, I mean, last week we talked about the ACLU and NATO. I just wouldn't want to survey a group of people your age and ask them what they thought about the ACLU and NATO.
I don't even know what that is. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
There you go. And you're a bright guy.
Yeah.
And I blame the schools for that because you should, and I'm going to...
Well, I know NATO.
All right.
I don't know what it stands for, but I know NATO. Yeah, I know NATO.
It stands for North Atlantic
Like,
Treaty Organization.
Yeah, I knew some of those. I knew there was a treaty in there. I knew organization was in there.
And you know what it was?
Yeah, all right, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. It's like some type of alliance, right?
Yes.
Am I right?
Correct.
An alliance that curates.
Curates.
Or not, I wouldn't say curate,
No,
but
you
maybe.
shouldn't say curate.
Yeah, no, we won't.
Do not say
We'll take
curate.
it out in the edit. An alliance that is in charge of other alliances.
No.
Well, not exactly.
Oh,
but
God.
I think
Stop talking. Let me tell you what it is, and then, But here, you don't feel bad about this. You know why? I'm going to write a book someday called Gazpacho is Cold. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because everything you know, every single thing you know, you learned at a particular moment in your life. You don't remember every moment, but that's why generally people have understood that older people are wiser because they've had more days, more time, more experiences, more moments to learn something. Okay, so I remember when I ordered gazpacho soup for the first time, and I complained bitterly to the waiter that the soup was cold. Well, gazpacho soup is served cold.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
It's what I'm saying to you. You're learning it now.
Yeah.
I learned it, I was about the same age. Point being...
Is it really even soup then?
Yes, it is soup. It is cold soup. I agree.
It's like iced coffee. It's like, you're right, okay.
You're right, it's stupid.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it is. And it's a very, like, expensive soup.
Gazpacho soup.
I mean, I remember I was at a restaurant, and it was, you know, and I had really never before that had a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money then, but like even enough to go out to dinner with a girl.
Yeah.
And I was at a fairly nice restaurant ordering gazpacho soup. I felt pretty sophisticated. I was smoking a cigarette.
We were talking about NATO.
NATO, that's what we're talking about. Okay.
What is this, NATO? So NATO makes the soup?
No.
Okay.
The point being that every time you learn something, you learned it at a certain moment, and you shouldn't feel bad that you didn't learn it before that moment.
I don't feel bad.
No.
I don't.
Right.
I definitely don't.
So today's the day you're learning what NATO is.
Yeah. And gazpacho soup is
And
served cold.
gazpacho soup. It's
They
a
go
double
hand
header.
in hand.
Oh, for you,
For me,
this is a
for
bonanza.
me. I'm gonna remember when I think of gazpacho soup.
This
Now I'm thinking of NATO.
It's a bonanza. You know what bonanza is?
I've heard of it.
It was a TV show.
It's a TV show. Yeah. Exactly.
It was like the #1 show forever. It was a Western about these, you know, 4 fat white guys who lived in Montana or something, and they had horses and adventures. I don't know.
Is this on HBO Max or
No, this is
on?
HBO Max. I mean, this is like
I've never heard of it.
No,
When did this come out?
It was even corny when I was a kid. It was like probably on in the late 50s and throughout the 60s.
Yeah, I'm out of it. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you don't want to know. But NATO, you should know. Now, you know what the Soviet Union was.
Yeah. Now it's Russia, right?
Russia was the dominant force. The Soviet Union was Russia and all the countries it conquered.
Yeah.
That
I knew that.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
Okay. So NATO was what we formed after World War II to counter the Soviet Union, to make sure they didn't take over the whole world.
Oh, yeah, so it wasn't an alliance.
Yes, but not when we curated. We had nuclear missiles there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's
They didn't have meetings where like, how are we going to curate the Soviets on this one? You know, Putin is not a curator. He's a poisoner.
You're right. But, I mean, I was close.
Everybody is sick of video calls. It's because the experience sucks. It's laggy, it cuts out all the time, and you just know Bob from accounting is most likely naked from the waist down. That's where SignalWire comes in. SignalWire is a technology arsenal that allows developers to create better real-time video communication apps quickly, because that's what we need, more apps. SignalWire empowers developers to create more natural, real-time interactive experiences, and SignalWire provides developer-friendly APIs and SDKs to help you get your app up and running with a few clicks and a snippet of code, instead of months of complex development work. It's been the choice of TV and film studios for remote looping and audio recording because it does what other video tech simply can't do. Visit signalwire.com/random to sign up for a free account and receive an additional 5,000 video minutes for testing your app or integration. Go to signalwire.com/random. Get communications APIs from the OGs of software-defined telecom at SignalWire. Go to signalwire.com/random today. Club Random is supported by Masterworks. A few things to know about how to invest in contemporary art without being rich enough to own an NFL franchise or inventing a rocket that will fly to Mars. This is an investment for regular people because it's a great one. Art is stable. Yeah, when other things tank, like everything is doing right now, art does not. It's also scarce and tangible. And when inflation is over 3%, art appreciates by 24%. Because it's so safe. So, how do you get in? Masterworks is the answer. With over 400,000 current members and $500 million worth of actual art in their portfolio, they make owning art accessible for everyone. Gold and real estate fluctuate where art just goes up. In fact, blue chip art pieces have increased by 2,500% since 1995. Our viewers can skip their wait list. Go to masterworks.art/random. See important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. That's masterworks.art/random.
So, you and your 15 million closest friends, you can't leave them even for a day.
I mean, look, I could do that, of course, but one, I love what I do. I love making content every day. I love putting it out. I love the reactions I get from it, right?
Even Christmas?
Oh, Christmas is the best day to post. Everyone's home on their phones. That's when everyone's watching. Everyone's trying to see what everyone got as a present. So usually, actually, a lot of my most viral videos, I think I have like a video that has 250 million views that was posted on Christmas Eve. Because everyone's off work, everyone's at home. There's like such a psychology and science behind like how you post, when you post, what to post that ensures,
When?
you know.
Like when you know people are like with their phones? Is that
Yeah,
what that is?
exactly.
And when are they with their phones?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know specifically.
No, but
like
generally,
like, you know, weekends are always a better time to post. Like, videos do better on Saturdays and Sundays because people aren't working their 9 to 5s, they're on their phones.
Right.
You know, another thing that I do too is like a lot of the comedy I do online is visual. Why? Because there's tons of people at work who can't listen with sound on. So if you can make, like a rule of thumb I have when I create a video is like, I watch it on mute. Would somebody laugh at this video on mute?
It's amazing. You're back to Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why he was so universal, right? And then you gotta also think, I have such a worldly audience, right? Where there's so many people who don't speak English.
You're making a
Yeah.
little short silent movie on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a full movie. I mean, we're
know
talking
what?
about a beginning, middle, end,
You
twist,
should-
your protagonist, antagonist all in 1 minute.
You should watch his movies and steal his shit.
I've actually not stole his shit, but I've watched tons of his stuff, like clips on
Do
YouTube.
the one where he eats his shoe.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It'll kill.
I gotta watch it.
Trust me, in the 1919s, it was, no, I don't know. But there's the famous scene where he's like, but there's lots of, you know, clips. I mean, have I ever like seen a Chaplin movie all the way through? I don't know.
And I've just seen clips. I've seen him ride the bike.
Right.
you
And
know?
also the one who was going through the gears.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
He's genius.
Yeah, for 100 years ago, that thing where he's, and the comment that it's making on the mechanized society we live in.
Yeah, it's genius. And
he was
another thing
badass.
too that's crazy is like people will message me or like I'll even run into people who don't really speak that great of English and they're like, I learned English from watching your videos. Because of course there's dialogue, right? There's dialogue here and there, but it's very limited where like, you know, you don't have to know the dialogue to get the joke. So that's something I keep in mind all the time when I shoot. And like a statistic, actually, I believe on Facebook, 70% of videos are watched without sound.
Do you want to, like, do you aspire, like, one day to make, like, an actual full-length movie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my goal.
Because this is great training for
Yeah,
you.
no,
You're doing
no,
it a minute at a time.
That was my goal when I first moved here, to be a
Well,
movie.
and now you have the following.
Yeah.
So if your agent isn't working on this?
No, he is. I'm actually working on a film right now. I put out a short film like a year ago that got qualified for an Oscar. It didn't end up getting nominated, but it got close. So, I mean, that is the avenue, but I'm kind of finding myself in this weird crossroad of, you know, even like the movie business, right? Like, unless you're like an A-list actor like The Rock or, you know, Kevin Hart, right? You go away, you film a movie for what, 3-4 months, right? And the amount that I would get paid to do that movie, where, of course, I'm not gonna be able to film my own content while I'm on set, I'm away, right? The amount I'm getting paid for that 3-4 months, unless I'm an A-lister, right? That amount I'm getting paid is how much I'm making in 1 week.
Yeah, so wait till they offer you that.
Exactly. Or just make my own film, rather than, you know, auditioning and...
And you look like you could play anything. I mean, you're like one of those ambiguously...
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the checkbox I go for. Ethnically diverse. I'm in there.
Yeah, you could be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be...
Indian, Egyptian, Middle Eastern, Mexican. I mean, anything besides white, pretty much. I'm in
Right.
there. Yeah. So, and I play
You
on
are?
that. I am Middle Eastern, Egyptian. But,
Egyptian?
Yeah.
And what? Or
So I'm also mixed with like Iranian a bit and an Afghan. I looked it up on 23andMe. I don't know the results, but that was it. It was.
Or what
like
are your
mixture.
parents?
Egyptian, and I think my dad is also like a little Afghan, Iranian, Egyptian. My mom is Egyptian.
You know, here's something else that may be like your Gazpacho moment. Egyptians and Iranians to get together, you should know this, if your parents did that, that's a gutsy thing to do because Egyptians are Arabs
Yeah.
and Iranians are not. And in the Middle East, the main conflict has always been between the Arab world and the Persian world. Saudi Arabia is separated from Iran, Persia, only by a little strait. Those are the two powers. Other sides sort of like go with either side. The Iranians are Shiites. The Egyptians and the Saudis, they're Sunnis. These are two tribes that are both Muslim, but they hate each other. They fought a giant war against each other in the 80s, the Iran-Iraq war.
Was NATO involved in this?
NATO was not involved.
I'm literally learning. I didn't know this.
I know, and I'm telling you because this is your heritage.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, this is important stuff. The Muslim world is divided between Sunnis. They're about
I think I know a little bit. I know a little bit
Right.
about this.
They're about
roughly.
85% of the Muslim world are Sunnis.
Well, I think actually in Egypt as well, which like I
Sunni
didn't
is-
find out.
Egypt
till-
is all Sunni.
Well, I didn't find out till recently. There's actually like a large majority of Egyptians that are Orthodox or Catholic, right? I
No.
believe?
There
Right?
is a Christian sect in Egypt called the Copts, C-O-P-T.
That's it. Yes. That's it. I know. I was right on the tip of my
Right.
tongue. I knew it was close.
Like any Christian or Jewish group in a Muslim majority country in the Middle East, they are not to make feel very welcome. So there are very few left. There are very few. Syria used to have a very large Christian minority, but they don't anymore. But sticking to the Muslim world, yes, the Iranians and the Egyptians, traditionally those are the, Sunnis and Shiites. There's a lot of beef between those two groups. So
my
I'm just
parents were
saying
the
your
outliers.
parents may have had to like defy some, traditional shit to get together. So
I feel like that
next
plays-
Thanksgiving, be like, Mom, Dad, I don't know what you went through to start boning and have me, but if you had to
Yeah,
go through some
I
stuff,
know.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they did. Yeah, they moved
They never
here.
talked to you about this shit?
They probably did. They probably did.
You
But-
just tuned it out?
You know
You
what?
weren't interested?
Dude, all I care about is comedy. I love comedy. I'm like so into.
Maybe they could make it funny.
They
They
could.
could do it with puppets.
Well, maybe they told me about it and I couldn't make it funny, and that's why I tuned it out. So
Yeah, it's kind of hard to make the Iran-Iraq war funny.
it's a tough one. That's why I probably moved on to the next joke.
So let me ask you this. What is your personal life like? If you're so like having to be slavish to your
Craft,
craft and feeding the dragon, because it is a dragon,
absolutely.
right? So does that make your personal life suffer?
No personal life.
Oh, stop it.
I mean, like here and there, right?
Oh.
Like I'll have weeks. I'll have a week where I have fun and I'll like go out and mingle and do
No
whatever.
girlfriend.
I'm single. No, I'm single. I mean, I
But
had a
you
girl.
want to be single. It's
Yeah.
not because you're...
Yeah, no,
Exactly.
by
So
choice, by
don't
choice.
bullshit me.
Yeah, by-
It's not like,
By choice.
oh, I can't find a girl. It's you don't want to be tied down by
Yeah.
one girl.
Well, you know what? It's also tough. Like, I mean,
on.
in my last relationship,
We're
it
here
was
at
like,
Club Random. Tell me.
no, in my last
I'm your
relationship.
psychiatrist.
All right,
You're
well,
my
then I'll really-
stepson. Just tell me the truth.
Okay, in my last relationship, reason why it ended is because I was working all day. It's like, so what I do is like, it never ends. And then too, is like comedy, like you're always writing jokes. There's stuff that always comes up, right?
I'm never writing jokes.
You're not?
No, I'm never. You sound like you're purposefully right. I've never done that. When I started, I was told that's how you're supposed to do it, because that's what Bill Cosby told all the other comics, and they told us. I don't know what happened to Mr. Cosby, but I never could like purposely write jokes. What I do is like this, and then when something funny would come up, I would try to remember it.
Well, that's what I do too. But then I write in my notes. But I just constantly find myself, anything that happens, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write that in my notes. I'm gonna write my notes. And I'm always thinking, all right, what's the next video I'm gonna shoot? Because I mean, I'm posting every single day, right? So every day, like a lot of days I'll wake up at 6 a.m., no idea. have to come up with an idea by 8 a.m.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's a lot, but I love it.
That beard may have gray in it in 5 years because
Yeah,
that's a lot of.
possibly.
I mean, my early days, and you're not in your early days. You're a tremendous success, but I was still, 30. I had done a sitcom, but life was not that cushy. Still better than it had been earlier, but I certainly did not have this pressure that every single day I have got to come up with something,
Every day. But I mean, it's
a different animal.
It's the pressure I sort of say put on myself, though. Like I have a high standard of what I want, and I enjoy doing it. You know,
you put it on yourself because the dragon puts it on you.
Yeah.
If you don't feed the dragon,
It goes away.
or eats you.
Yeah, either or. So yeah, I do love it, and it is a lot of pressure. But at a certain point, like I've got to where it's so self-sufficient, where like I'm waking up, I'm on autopilot, and I'll come up with an idea. Like I said, I'll wake up at 6 a.m., no idea what I'm gonna shoot. 8 a.m., I come up with an idea. I'll send that over to my producer. We'll get props, we'll get the location, we'll get actors or actresses, shoot it, edit it right away. It goes up by 12, and then by 2 p.m., it's at 1 million views.
7 days a week you do this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll miss a day here or there, but that's...
You don't shoot 2 in a day?
Sometimes I try, but it's tough. It's tough.
Because you want the quality to be
Yeah,
high.
exactly. And even at a certain point, you get watered down. And if it was up to me, I personally would want to just do maybe 1 video a week of my best,
Well, I was going to say it'll pay off. It's already paying off. But, there's no substitute for wanting it, hard work, and just, I could see you're that guy who's not going to let the other guys beat you. I mean, I remember when my experience was so different, but I started it like in comedy clubs. I guess you've hung out at comedy clubs too.
Yeah,
but that's all we had. There was no TikTok or any of that shit. And, you're with like dozens of other comics, who are all hanging out at the club, and you all have the same dream. And you all know it's kind of like the army. You're going to go into battle, and a lot of you aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
The guy next to you is going to get one right here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you just want better him than me, right?
Do you feel like you're living in a media bubble? Like it's harder than ever to find views that challenge your own? Well, that's where The Lost Debate steps in. It's a podcast and YouTube show for political eclectics who crave exposure to a diversity of beliefs and perspectives. The Lost Debate is hosted by Ravi Gupta, a former staffer for Obama and school principal, Corey Bradford, a political organizer from the Deep South turned TikTok star who once hosted a Fox News radio show, and Ricky Schlott, a Gen Z New York Post columnist and libertarian fighting to protect free speech. They cover the latest news, ideas, and trends that mainstream media overlooks, and they focus on bringing new perspectives to the table in constructive debates that sound less like crossfire and more like discussions between real people. Join the conversation. Check out The Lost Debate today. New episodes drop twice a week. Find The Lost Debate on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows. Did you know HBO Max had podcasts? I'm on my podcast talking about the podcasts on my network. This must be what the metaverse feels like. Now go even deeper inside your favorite shows with audio companions to some of the most groundbreaking and award-winning shows on television. The HBO Max Movie Club is back for Season 2. Host Matt Rogers from the Las Culturistas podcast will once again be joined by filmmakers and celebrity friends as they dig deep into the HBO Max movie library. The podcast covers the freshest new releases and the most beloved films from the HBO Max archive. You can listen to HBO Max Movie Club wherever you get your podcasts.
I always feel like every decade you have a different, sort of set of priorities or, a different essential goal. In my teens, it was don't be ostracized. Just don't be the kid they make fun of.
Yeah.
My 20s, it was just don't be a loser in your career.
I went through that too, though, in my 20s, where I was like, I gotta make it.
Yeah, because you set up your life in your 20s and 30s, and then, you want to then live in it.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
No,
But
I mean, I would say you're doing the right thing, but, and you are. But you say it's like it gets in the way of relationships.
yeah, but I mean,
But you don't want a relationship.
yeah, I don't want
It works
one.
out perfectly.
Yeah, it's
Stop
just-
complaining.
I'm the perfect candidate, you know. But I mean,
Yes.
don't get me wrong. I've had my fun. You know, I've had fun. Like when I went to college, you know, even the first 2 years I was out here trying to like figure out what the hell I'm gonna do. I'm having fun this whole time. I mean, look, I would go crazy if I didn't have breaks, right? I do have weeks where, you know, I go out and I'll catch up with friends and this and that. But at the same time, I just love creating content. It's the greatest thing.
And how do you create content for your sex life? I'm just curious. I mean, it just sounds...
OnlyFans. No, I'm
Seriously?
No, I'm kidding.
But it sounds like, I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know. When I was 30...
Are you saying like, how do I get girls?
Oh, I'm sure it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it's very different than when...
It is different. It all happens in the DMs now.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's all
on
the
DMs.
phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's...
So you don't really want to have a long-term relationship because
I mean, I'm the
at
type
some
of guy
point in
where
your life, man.
If it happens, it happens. You know, it will happen, right? But
Do you
I'm not
want it
gonna-
to happen? You
yeah,
want
I
children?
think honestly, like this next couple of years, I want to start a family.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe this year.
Really?
Who knows? Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I always
Is
thought
that
I
what
was
your
gonna have
mother wants you to do?
Yeah, yeah,
Why did I think that?
yeah, yeah. She's definitely
But
forcing it a bit, but
Yeah.
well, I thought I was gonna have kids.
But that should not influence you one bit. It's your life.
Yeah, true. But I always thought for some reason I was gonna have a family at 25.
No, I mean,
You know?
I've known so many guys who were like players,
Yeah.
but they were like married and had kids. And like,
Oh.
even though they were terrible husbands, they were great dads. You know, there is something, I don't have that chip. You know,
Yeah.
I've never, one thing that's been like steady throughout my life since I was a child is I do not like children. I did not like them when I was one.
Well, you have no kids?
I don't, no. No
Okay.
kids, no marriages,
Oh wow.
no
okay.
divorces, no
I'm like you, pretty much.
Well, no, you're not, because you haven't made it to this point.
True.
You have nothing to brag about. You're
Damn
right
it.
at the age where you're eligible, and people will try to marry you.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you want it, and you know, people think I'm against marriage. I'm only against marriage for me.
Yeah.
Whatever makes people happy. I know some people who would be lost without their spouse. That's what makes them happy. It's the most personal decision. Just don't do it because society
For sure.
or mom is
But
saying.
can you help it? Because it's like you're constantly getting like, you're getting taught marriage.
But
you're getting
I
taught,
did.
Yeah, but you're
And it's
a
not easy.
1%er.
You got to work at it, man. If you want to stay single,
I
you
should
have
hang
to,
out with you more. Maybe
gotta,
that's what it
you've
is.
got to club random. Open. I mean, seriously.
No, I see
it
what
is
you're saying,
very
though.
hard to keep your toe out of the trap.
Maybe this year you
But
get
when
married.
you-
Maybe you start a family this year. Who knows?
I do know and know that who would know more than me? Because I'm me.
It's a good
No,
point.
I will not
but
be starting a family this year. But
You never know though.
I do know. There are some
You
things
think you know. To a certain degree you know, but you never know.
Sweetheart.
You never really know.
If I got a girl pregnant tomorrow, I'd be like 82 when the kid got out of high school. I'm not. I am not starting a family. Why, after all these years, would I suddenly change and like fall in love with children? No, I love my life, and no fucking kid is gonna mess
Well, you
it
know
up.
your taste buds change every 7 years. That's a fact.
Not in children. And I don't think that's true either. Since I've liked many, it's not like I started to hate bananas 7 years ago. That's ridiculous. Maybe your taste
I
will
like
change.
almonds. Last year, I just started liking almonds. I hated almonds.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Sure, you're probably like 99.9% positive,
Almond and
right?
children are,
But
I
there
feel
is
like
that
on a different
0.1%.
I think that's a different level, almonds and children. But I take your point. All I'm saying is, for you, you know,
Society, yeah.
You just don't do it, yeah, like, or because we sort of create that myth in movies. It's certainly in the era of the romantic comedy. I guess they do less of them, but it's a lot of putting in people's minds this idea that there is a one perfect person, your soulmate, and they're out there, and you just got to find them, and then when you do, it's all going to be great. And there was a book they just put out for Valentine's Day, even though it's kind of an anti-Valentine's Day book. And I read the excerpt. It's from some woman, and it's called To Stay Married, You Need Amnesia.
Oh, wow.
And the line below that said, do I hate my husband sometimes? Oh, yeah, sure. And then the article is just, her talking about how much she fucking hates her husband and think he's an asshole. But at the end, it's like, but we stay together. It's always that like fake Hollywood ending that they even put in their books. And I'm like, you can't get me back. After you say you hate him, you can't get me back to, but this is a good idea. This is a good thing to do. And that's what the book is trying to do.
It is fascinating, though. Like, that someone can stay, like, there's some people that are married for, like, 40, 50 years. That's, like, insane to me. That's, like, to be with somebody for 40, 50 years and spending, like, damn near every day together, right? Like, that is a fascinating thing. It's a skill.
A skill is...
It's impressive.
That's a charitable way to put it, but you're right. It's something people... I guess do it for the children, and they like the idea of security and somebody there, or sometimes a sense of humor is more important. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why a marriage that isn't, red hot monkey love all the time works for people and can work for people. And again, like you say, different strokes and whatever people like, but I'm just saying, be careful about that one. That, like,
sure. I think I want it, though. I think I love kids and...
Great.
Yeah, I think I want it. I mean, I guess I'll find out.
Right, you'll find out.
Yeah.
Because,
I'll go for it, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? If you got married at 32, you could still, like, be, give it 8 years.
Yeah,
now you're 40, you're still a nice-looking guy.
You know what it is, though? I feel like...
you could have a...
I feel like the age it continuously gets has been getting older for what people get married at. Like people used to get married at
Well, it has.
Yeah.
We have the statistics.
Yeah, right? Now people are getting married at what, like 35?
No, not quite that. It's like 30 for men and 28 for women.
Where it used to be like what? What did it used
Much lower, you're right.
Yeah.
It was like 22 and 20 or something like that.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in many parts of the world, like Egypt and Iran,
Yeah.
I mean, you're an old maid if you're 20, probably,
Yeah, my wife's
not in
there,
every
for
segment
sure.
of society, but yeah, I mean, that still goes on. And even in the United States, they recently just raised the legal age for marriage, and I forget what state, something like Kentucky or something, but they were not the only state that had it, from like 14 to 16.
Oh, that's way too young.
14.
That's what is that, middle school? Was it high school?
Well, for me, it was freshman year of high school. But whatever it is.
That's wild.
Yes.
Imagine being married in 9th grade. That's...
No, I can't, because I was still just masturbating. I would have loved to have been married or anything that allowed me to get some, but no. But yeah, I mean, there are parts of this country that are...
That's wild.
Do you know what Appalachia is?
Is that a mountain? Appalachian Mountains?
It's a mountain range.
Okay, I was close.
Yes, no, you're right.
Yeah.
It goes all through like these southern states. It's like where the term hillbillies, which is kind of a derogatory term, but there are, I'm sorry, such thing as hillbillies.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people who live rural. I mean, this is the
There's no Tik Tok over there. They're not getting Wi-Fi.
They part of the president's big spending bill is to bring Wi-Fi and such things to this part of the country. They're always like...
Imagine they're up there doing like TikTok dances once they get the Wi-Fi.
I'm sure there are places in Tennessee and Arkansas and West Virginia. These are the states I'm talking about. It goes through like 8 different states like that. Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but there are also rural places where they may have the internet, but what they really don't have is like strong law enforcement from the authorities. Like, it's sort of like the local people who are making the rules. Like, did you ever see the old Beverly Hillbillies series?
Nah.
You heard of it though, right? The Beverly Hillbillies.
It sounds familiar.
It was a show on the 60s. It was one of the big hit comedies.
Oh, if it was in the 60s, I don't know it.
Yeah, but they show it, they rerun it. I mean, people have seen it. You've heard of I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
Well, that was the 50s.
Oh, wow, that was 50s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, but I probably have seen it then.
You must have seen it. It's a classic. I mean, it was about these people from Appalachia, these the hillbillies. I mean, the Beverly Hillbillies, and they strike oil on their land, and they become fucking crazy rich. So they move to Beverly Hills, which is what rich people do. So now they're like, they're still driving like the old truck, you know, and they're still fucking hillbillies. That's what's the funny part. They're hillbillies, but they're in this fucking phony baloney Hollywood environment. Those kind of people in their own habitat there in the Appalachian region, it can be very difficult for like, you know, police or revenuers, taxman, anything from the federal government. That's like an outsider. I mean, there are places in this country that are like literally tribal.
Really?
Yes.
That's insane.
Look at all the things you've learned tonight.
Everyone doesn't
Adam.
have TikTok? No, I'm kidding. That's crazy. Yeah,
That could be your like charity cause. Bring TikTok to Appalachia.
I'll be that guy.
You should be that guy.
I'll be that guy.
Right.
I would do
now,
it.
Of course, if you go there, they might kill you.
Yeah, and also I probably
They're
wouldn't.
like, he's I don't know, but he doesn't look, I don't know what he is, but we're fucking gonna kill him. We'll ask questions later.
I feel like anywhere I go, I'll fit in as a local for the most part, you know? I don't know. I honestly, I probably wouldn't go if they didn't have Wi-Fi because then I'm not gonna be able to post, right? So and once they get the Wi-Fi, then I'll show up and maybe I'll have a course or something. But
Well, listen, I hope you do come back here and just kick it with me some night.
yeah, maybe
Not
we'll
that
make a
would be
TikTok
any
together.
different than this.
Yeah. Maybe we film a TikTok together.
Not like,
Who knows?
oh, yes, let's do that.
Yeah, we can do it. Are you on TikTok at all or no?
Oh, yes, Adam, I'm dominating
I think I've
it.
seen you on the Explore page.
No, you haven't.
Okay,
And I'm not intentionally on TikTok.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if I could get it on my phone.
I'll download the app for you.
No, I think I have the app, but I'm gonna. I will start. I mean, you know, I should make that effort to like do that. I'm just so busy. It's like I just don't have time for a new thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that.
But we could be like Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. You know who they are?
It'd be the collab nobody ever expected.
Exactly.
And that's why I'll go viral.
That's why it would be funny.
Exactly.
But you got to think of it. This is what you do.
We could even do me and you at a restaurant. Waiter brings out gazpacho soup.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, this is cold.
Right.
Right? You slap the soup across the table, and then he says it's cold. And then not only are we going viral, we're educating people. And then somehow at the end we bring in NATO, and this is 10 million views.
Send me the script. Call me.
It's done.
All right.
It's already posted. I just DM a girl, yes. And that's it. And then they say, yes, what? And then ball's in your court. You can say whatever. Yes, I'd love to get to know you. Yes, I would hang out.
That's hysterical.
And it's a 10 out of 10 success rate.